In an inverted realm that calls evil good, life itself is the most celebrated of them all. And in order to get that life, one must create it, so to say, by reproducing. And by the act of reproducing, one brings so-called life into this inversion. As we know, evil is called good here. And the most good that you can do is to continue life and bringing life into the inversion. Everywhere you go, you see it celebrated in nature, in people, in animals, plants, any and everything. The cycle continues for what seems like an eternity. And we're all searching to try to fix this world while bringing new life into it. And this life is looked upon as our savior to continue this wretched existence. Perhaps they can figure it out. Perhaps they can live a better life than we had. We will bestow upon them the gift of life that was bestowed upon us without asking what they think of it, without telling the brutal honesty of the world that they are about to open their eyes in and see it for the harsh, brutal truth that it is. And they come in kicking and screaming and crying. In this inverted realm, people celebrate this. People jump for joy that we have yet another slave to throw into this meat grinder and to see and watch it squirm through life and see what it makes of itself. I think the most evil that one can do is to continue this cycle of abuse and torture and rape of innocent life forms. It is all around us. In everything that you do and see, you are a product of that great celebration of life. And love is the thing that binds it all. Because without love, why would you even be here? Without the feeling of love and the deception of that powerful drug working against your higher consciousness to see the world for what it is. And since you have skin in the game now and you brought life here, you're going to defend life with all that you have. Because you can't bear to look in the mirror and see the horrible, wretched thing that you've done. And this is in no way blaming people with no awareness of that act, because your body itself forces its desires onto your consciousness, and it makes you think that it was your decision when you have no control over the reproduction organs of your body. If there was a switch that you could turn off and say, hey, I just want to do this act, I don't want a baby. Yeah, we have contraception and whatnot, but if there was an internal mechanism that you could consciously decide that I'm turning the reproduction function of my body off, and if I want to turn it back on, I have that choice. But we aren't even given that choice, you see, because we are slaves to this body. And this body will dictate to us how we should proceed. And this body wants to procreate and continually bringing more and more and more of itself into a realm of survival, slavery, suffering, and rape, torture of the spirit. So the most evil thing you can do is bring something that isn't here into this place. Because without that act, no suffering or abuse could befall that innocent being. And since we call evil good, we celebrate that. We celebrate bringing that into this fallen world. And it further entraps us in it. There would be no rape, there would be no torture, there would be no suffering without that act. That act is the single act that further enslaves the consciousness of this realm. If you didn't do that, there would be no one to suffer the consequences of living in this world. By overcoming this world, you realize that bringing anything into it is the worst thing in existence. The worst thing in existence is the act of bringing something here. For without that act, there would be no one to receive the sufferings of this place. And no matter how much you care about your children now, that is the drug that keeps this world going. Because now that you have kids here, you want to make this world a better place, which is impossible. This world functions exactly the way it functions by design. The design here is total consumption of everything. And the predators who are good, the best at predation, always rise to the top. The top of the food chain is the predator. The predator, the most cunning of them all, rises to the top, because in a world of predation, of evil, what is good is called evil here, and what is evil is called good. So if you have any good, this world will rip it apart and rip it out, because good cannot exist here. Good does not function here. The only good that is here is within yourself. And you know by now that that good is not working with the workings of this world. So I'm trying to say here, the first act that caused all of this is procreation, is reproducing. And that reproduction drive will mask itself and lie to you and pretend it's something different, something called love. You want love more than anything, which in actuality, that is your body deceiving you into going out and finding a suitable mate to fall in love with, to fall. The fall of human consciousness started with the act of reproduction here. If those first people, hypothetically, if there were two people, if they did not give in to their body's desires and said, this is a fallen world, I am not going to listen to my body, I'm going to listen to my higher awareness and not be tricked and deceived into thinking the body's desires are my desires, because my desire is I do not want anything to suffer. But that gets wishy-washy when the hormones and the chemicals kick in and you fall in love and you want to get close and intimate. You want to create a legacy. You want to see what you and that person, what you can create together. And that sexual energy is just so overwhelming and so overpowering, like a drug, like the strongest drug that you can get your hands on. And you fall victim to the inversion of calling evil good. We're all here because of this one act that deceived our parents and their parents and their parents and their parents, going back to the very beginning. I'm not sure what happened in the very beginning, but if we're going on the terms of what two people bringing life here, it had to originate somewhere. Unless it was just a flip of the switch and we all got here. Either way, the continuance of procreating is the root of all suffering here. That is the root. That is the doorway. That is the entry point to bring spirits or animals or whatever you want to call it. That is the entry point into this realm. And like biological computers, we've been programmed. The programming within us that we have no control over is dictating how we should continue life here. Did you do anything besides... There's a plane flying over me now. Okay, in the act of reproduction, what did you even do? All you did was enjoy the fleeting pleasure of intercourse. You didn't do anything other than that. You thrusted back and forth. You moaned and groaned. You call that something of a higher nature. Thrusting and moaning and groaning. You did not have any control over that baby. Your bodies, which are the biological machines with their own programmings, created another biological machine to entrap another soul in, which is continuing this miserable existence. If we really wanted to end this place, we would have to stop reproducing. If there is no way to end this place other than that is a physical thing that could happen to end this place. But the problem is there aren't many people who are searching and yearning for a higher state of awareness. And in that state of searching and yearning for a higher awareness, they aren't looking outside of the natural world, because a lot of people will look at the natural world and say it's good. It's say it's God's creation. It is the natural way. And they'll look at things that go against nature as that's worldly. That is against God, to go against nature. No, to go against nature is the ultimate act of a higher conscious being, because nature itself is of a lower consciousness that wants to entrap you into it and make you believe that you are of this lower consciousness, and makes you want to fulfill all of the desires of the natural body, of the natural world. There is nothing good about the natural world. In overcoming this world, you are overcoming the natural desires of your biological machine that you have been entrapped in. And you have to realize that the chemicals and the hormones and the feelings that come along with that fallen vessel are not originating from you. It is originating from your vessel, your prison vessel. And the scam is you confusing that with your own free will. Your own free will has to be separate from the desires of the body and the desires of the natural world, because the natural world does not give free will. It creates biological slaves to ensure nature continues. The nature of evil continues. That is the name of its game. When you stop identifying with your body's desires and start reflecting on what you actually want versus what your body wants, and what is logical and rational. Okay? Do you really want to have sex with someone, or is that just a biological drive within your body to reproduce? You having control by using contraception and other methods to ensure that no baby is brought here, that is still just a fleeting animalistic pleasure that will not fulfill anything of a higher consciousness nature. This is such a fallen state of existence that is seen as the most ultimate act of love, the most ultimate act of desire, the most ultimate of ultimates is to have sex, to thrust and moan and groan and sweat and breathe, and then it's all over. As soon as the desire came, the desire is fulfilled, and now it's gone. Have you realized that once you get off, the desire's gone? It's gone. As soon as it came, now it's gone. Because you fulfilled what nature wanted to fulfill. You planted your seed. And even if you used contraception, your body still thinks you planted that seed. So the act is done, you're done. Move on. It's sickening to think that we are being so misled by our own body to further entrap other spirits here, that we think this act is so great and of a higher order, when in actuality it is the actual capture and enslavement of other life, real life, bringing it down into this fallen state. And the most ultimate tell of this is one getting old. One getting old, you're past your prime of having a healthy offspring. Or you may not even be fertile at all. So the sex drive itself is not active unless you are old yourself and you want to get one off. But that drive is only there because the original intention of that act is enslaving consciousness here and furthering this cycle of suffering. I don't really see having sex as some sort of higher act or can bring you into a higher state of existence or consciousness. I think that's all a lie that they're trying to sell you to keep the act, the most evil act one can do, in motion, blinding you and thinking that it's some higher nature, when every animal can do it. Any and every animal does this in order for it to continue living in this fallen world. So you're saying that you thrusting and moaning is of some higher nature, when it's not. It's not. Love is a drug. Love will make you do the most insane of things, like bringing babies into a hell inverted realm. Love will make you want to stay here. The love of this world is what traps you here. And one of the things that people get made fun of is for being a virgin, for being one who has not participated in the cult ritual of bringing life into a fallen state. And we can't have that. We have to shame and mock and ridicule. Oh, you're just a virgin. You've never tasted of the fruit of good and evil, so to say. No one wants you. You're pathetic. Oh, your genetic line isn't worth saving. Yeah, well, consider that a blessing. I don't really like that word, but you know what I mean by that. Consider that a blessing, that you don't have to worry about the addiction of so-called love. Most people aren't. Most people who say they're in love is just a feeling that can come as soon as it left. As soon as you stop providing for their survival mechanisms and their fantasy world that they live in, and you stop allowing them to control your life, they fall out of love with you, because love is a deceptive thing that only works to control you. It only works to give away your higher consciousness for a fleeting pleasure of sex and reproduction. Sex creates these spiritual bonds with someone, and it's like a chain, because your body thinks that it should be having a baby now, and you need that person to take care of you and that baby. It creates these etheric chains around your spiritual heart, and it makes you into a slave to want to keep that drug going. The withdrawals are so strong that you break down and you go crazy, and you gotta have more, and you gotta have more and more and more. This love feeling is not of a higher consciousness nature. It is of a lower slave nature that wants to enslave somebody else to fulfill your unfulfilled desires. The thing that we should be wanting is mutual respect and care. That is not a fleeting emotional state that will blind you. Respecting your partner, or respecting the one that you so-called love, replace love with respect. That way, when the drug of love rears its ugly head and makes you do insane things or makes you feel insane things, you can stop and say, wait a minute, this drug is acting up. I don't have to listen to this drug and the hormones and chemicals that are in my body right now. I can choose to still respect this person through my own internal struggles and hardships that I'm facing right now with this information that I'm getting. That way, no matter what happens, you are still able to respect and care and want their best no matter what happens to you. Most relationships end with the two people hating each other because it wasn't respect, it wasn't care, it was, my drug has worn off and now I hate your guts. How can you go from love to hate? Because love is not what it's been sold to us. Love is just a fallen mechanism that entraps you into a fallen state of consciousness and makes you do things that you rationally wouldn't do. And one of those rational things is bringing life here where there is no life to be found at all. By bringing life here, you should just say you're bringing death here. You're bringing suffering and death and slavery. So the ultimate act of evil is procreation, is reproduction. And it stems from your body confusing you and putting you into a confused state where you want to experience the pleasure of feeling that, and then it's gone. It's just gone. Now, if you can't see that for the deception that it is, I want you to think a little more harder on that. How can you want something so badly, and then once the seed or the orgasm has finished, you no longer want it? It's over. It's because it was an act of deception to get you to participate in the most evil of acts, which is bringing a baby here. That's what I'm trying to say. And you always hear, the universe is love. God is love. Love is all there is. You're here to learn what love is. Well, I just told you what love is. Love is the great deception that keeps you bound against your rational, logical mind. It keeps you doing things. It keeps you trying to impress other people and these so-called higher beings because they love you and they want you to fulfill their needs and desires, and you love them, and it's all just a feeling, and you get love bombed. And love bombing is one of the most powerful acts of manipulation. Is respect bombs. If you got respect bombed, do you think you could be manipulated that way? No. Respecting your boundaries, respecting you and your wishes and your free will never leads to manipulation. Only love will do that to you. If you got respect bombed, you would feel so empowered because now you finally have the decisions and you can actually use your own free will and your own critical thinking mind to decide what you want to do now once you get to the afterlife. We're going to respect bomb you. We're going to give you all the time you need. We're going to give you all the information you need. You can ask us any questions. We're not going to force anything on you. We're not going to make you feel anything because we don't want to manipulate you. We want you to come to your own understanding and choose your own free will what to do now. And we respect you for realizing that the world you came from was full of suffering, death, and slavery. And we respect that. We respect that you think that, and tell us more because we want to hear why you think that. And I mean, it can go on and on and on. And that will allow you to get to a point where you could choose from your own free will what to do without any manipulative emotional state that is overpowering you like a drug. Yes, I've fallen victim to love many, many times throughout my life. And it made me do the most insane of things. It made me even go against what I thought was right in certain situations because I loved that person and I'm going to do what it takes to be in love with that person, and I'm going to go against my own morals, my own values, and be manipulated into fulfilling their desires and what they want. And I'm going to act really irrational, like someone who just came off of drugs to get my next fix. And when I do this in current relationships that I have, I can catch myself falling back into that drug-induced state of withdrawal and highs of it. And I'm not really letting my true intentions come out. It's being masked by the drug of love. So I think going forward now, with those people in my life that I so-called love, that I care about, I'm just gonna take love out of the equation and put in respect. I want to respect those that are close to me, and I don't want love to overpower me into doing things that are against my free will, whether they be my own fault or their fault. I can still choose to not react to the drug of love. This can be family, partners, friends, anything, anyone in your life who you care about. When I stop being manipulated by feelings, whether they be anger or sadness or happiness or lust or any of these things, I can take myself out of the equation and say, okay, even though I'm feeling these things, what do I really want to do though? What are my true intentions? I do not want to be carried away by the swift moving waters of feelings that come and go. In this moment, I could say the meanest of things, and in the next, it's completely over and I regret what I did and what I said. It's things like that. Love can make you jealous. Love can make you angry. Love can make you pissed off. And I don't want to be not in control of my spirit while I'm in this fallen vessel. The fallen vessel that tries to dictate and program things that I should do because of my reactions to outside things. If I can turn those reactions into responding instead of reacting, how do I want to respond? What is my true intentions? And let me hone in on those instead of what these feelings are trying to push me into, that I know I will soon regret. These feelings can lead you into truth, but they should not dictate the truth. You can explore those feelings. Why do I feel this way? And get down to the truth of it. And then you can decide how to act and respond. But to be swept away in these emotional states, one has to realize that these are not of a higher consciousness nature because they go against your free will. Free will should be active at all times. They should not be overridden by body programs and lusts of the flesh and insecurities and lacks and needs and desires and all those things. So back to my point. The root of all evil is based off of continuing the cycle of life here, and the workings of that cycle involve love. Love is the energy infused into the act of creation here. Love is all there is here. Yes, that may have been a true statement because love is a manipulation in order to get things to control you based on a feeling. Love is controlling another being. Love is a feeling that is forced upon you that you think is originating from your free will. Love makes you do the craziest of things, like reproducing and bringing innocence into a fallen, despicable place. And the tie that binds it all is love. Love, love, love. In no sense, the senses of this body is what brings the death of millions, billions, who knows how much life has been brought into the senses of the body, because of the senses of the body, the sense of sexual pleasure and the love feeling is the workings of evil here. And they want you to think it's good. They call evil good here. And like I said, if they decide to love bomb you in the afterlife, realize that feelings are manipulations against your free will and having complete awareness and control over your own outcomes. Can you think when you're in such a stupor of love? Can you actually critically and rationally think what is best for you and for those around you when you are under the spell of the love drug? No. You'll be swept away in these emotional states, and they will have you right where they want you, back into another body from the act of procreating, reproduction. And it all goes hand in hand. The cycle, the wheel of samsara. Those two are the key players in the wheel. It's love and reproduction. Now that you know what love is, choose the higher state of mutual respect and care, and allowing other intelligent life form to have access to the truth and deciding what it wants to do now with no manipulation or deception involved.